Before we go into, I guess, the actual numbers, I kind of wanted to walk back in history to how we got here. So you heard a lot from Pastor Sarah this morning on her journey, but about a year ago, as the council, along with staff, we're looking at how can we continue to invest and grow the community. It was clear that we needed to make an investment in our staffing. Sarah had the need to reduce hours, and as well, we had been leveraging Pastor Ryan for a while. And so we saw it as an opportunity to bring him on by contract. And then as well, Jason was taking on more activities and workload. And so, we needed to invest in and make sure he was reimbursed properly for that. And so as a congregation, we voted to overspend in last fiscal year and monitor it throughout the year. Fortunately, the community responded. And so thank you for your giving. And at the same time, as we got to this fiscal year, as a council, we said, where do we go? We had no idea that we would have COVID-19.
I'll be able to do his time.
And, so we made the decision as a community to invest for this fiscal year. And what that meant was minimize drawing from our savings. And so that meant we kind of had a stretch goal from giving, and we called it faith and growth, because we wanted to continue to use our community initiatives funds for supporting the homelessness efforts, but at the same time for the rest of the community and these programs that we're rolling out and that people have been participating in, it takes investment in staff to be able to do that, as well as, volunteers as needed. So with that, the next slide I'm going to show is kind of I call it a thermometer chart. So, high level, where are we Q1 to date, and remind everyone what our goal is. And so let me go to the next slide. So you can see on the left, there's a red arrow, meaning we're not quite where we want to be. And this is the general giving and faith growth thermometer. Our fiscal target for the entire year is just under 347,000 in general giving and faith and growth. Our Q1 target was just under 87,000. You can see here the actuals for our first quarter were 77,000. So we had a gap of just over 9,500. Sarah mentioned, and I'll reiterate, that July and August were slower. We were about $19,000 gap, and with a strong September, we cut that in half essentially. And so we will, thank you. We will continue to update this chart so people, can get an idea of how we're trending. On the right, community initiatives is green, and this wasn't a surprise. After July and August were strong, but you can see our Q1 target was 5,000. So our annual fiscal target was 20,000. We didn't know what to expect. Well, after Q1, we're already over our annual goal, which is great because we want to continue to support homelessness. But at the same time,
Greg,
yes.
Can you just redefine for folks what community initiatives is, like what that fund is compared to general giving, and how we can use those funds?
Yeah, so Community Initiatives Fund is basically to support homelessness, disaster in the Rose Hill community. And it cannot be used for any religious purposes. And so, we can't pay staff with the money and stuff like that. And so generally speaking, it's for, and you'll hear a little bit about the investment in the outside area of the new shelter, but it's basically supporting homelessness. And so it's great because we want to continue to do that, but unfortunately we can't tap into it for other operating costs of the church, including staff. Any questions before? So I guess the point I want to make from this, awesome on the right, if we can get some of that giving to our general giving and faith and growth, we could balance it out and we would be able to continue to sustain and grow without dipping into our savings too much. And now this is the the number slide. I'm going to see if I can minimize the pictures. There we go. So this is the all-up number. You saw the general giving that was up there, and this was where we were behind our gap on the thermometer chart. Also want to call out, we do get income from church building use. We did have a miss for our quarter 1 budget only because of COVID-19. We wanted to be able to work with the other churches and support them. We're expecting, them to be back on budget for the remainder of the year. A great thing is the parsonage rental income, the tenants are able to pay, so that's awesome to see that. And then again, our community initiatives really overperformed in Q1, and we want to continue to support that. But we also have to look at the top line general giving and our total income. Our expenses all up. We are below on spending. Partially that's due to some of the stuff that we had to push out because of COVID-19. We are a little over on benevolence, and you may be asking, well, how can we be behind on general giving but over on benevolence? As a reminder, our benevolence is a percentage of our general giving. Well, when we did the budget, we excluded the faith and growth portion of general giving. However, because we are over all up, we do want to, in the general giving line, excluding faith and growth, we want to hold to our 10% tithe amount. But overall, we're a little below on staffing. We did budget for an extra part-time headcount for the children and family space. That is still open, so we have some savings there. But overall, we're doing a good job to manage expenses for the quarter. And then kind of a all up. So when we look at our net operating loss, in this case, we missed at the total income line. We saved on our expenses. So really, we were able to reduce the top line miss. I did want to call out, and it's probably no surprise, if we continue to have shortfall in our general giving, that will reduce our savings over time to support the operating costs. This is the assets and liabilities as of the end of September. Couple things. This column here is how we ended the fiscal year. We always look at our assets and liability at quarter end. So you'll say, checking, you can see a big jump here, and you say, wow, that's good. We have a lot in checking. I did want to say that, a portion of that checking is restricted to community initiatives. And so really about $22,000 is now in this line item that wasn't there in June. So that's incremental. So if you take 22,000 out of here, we're closer to 90,000. And so again, that's still healthy. We kind of like to keep 3 months of operating expenses in our checking account. Number two, our savings went down, and that was because in Q1, we were dipping we were needing to fund operating costs and stay to our 3 months of operating expense in our checking. So I transferred 15,000. It's great that we have these savings, but we also want to try not to take too much out of it this year if we can grow the general giving. The fixed assets down here, we don't expect those to change unless we made some type of incremental improvement, either in the land, building, or equipment, or the parsonage, and there's nothing planned on that at this point. The right-hand side is our liabilities, so that's basically up here, what we owe to other people. End of June, we were about a little over 13,000, combination of payroll, our benevolence, and then we have the deposit here that eventually we would have to pay back when the tenants move out. As of the end of September, it's a little bit less, primarily due to benevolence. So our total liabilities are about 12,000. So overall, very healthy balance sheet or assets and liabilities. And I think that's it on the financials, with the exception, just a reminder, obviously the Joy Jar is out of service, and it will be for a while, but.
Greg, yep, well done. It's true. Yep.
Yeah.
I like that graphic.
If people are doing recurring, and you feel like, hey, I would like to give a little bit more, I ask that you go in and either do a one-time gift, But I know, this time of year, especially at Microsoft, which is the Give campaign, we're always looking at, hey, how can we give back? I just ask that, as we think about the benefits we're getting from the online experience and the programs from Salt House, that, people consider, is there an opportunity to give a little bit more, even if it's for a one time? It all helps. So, and then last but not least, Amazon. I'm sure people are still leveraging shopping online. And again, you can select Salt House Church to get a percentage of what you're purchasing. Any questions? That's the end of the finance presentation. We will continue to monitor, like I said, the thermometers, and depending on what makes sense, I can work with Jason so we can maybe have a monthly thermometer view as part of worship or online so people can track and see versus waiting till the end of the quarter.
Yes, in seasons past, when we were all meeting together, Greg and I had a kind of a regular conversation about getting the numbers in front of people. And, in the last 6 months, we haven't really kept up on that. So I think the thermometer and this presentation, I'm recording this now so we can share this with folks later, but then also having a way to share that on our giving page for folks who are interested in finding the most up-to-date information about our giving. We'll make that available.
Hey, Jason, can I make one comment?
Yes.
So Greg, thank you so much for this. This is amazing. I just wanted to sort of re-articulate that while I very much appreciate the focus on, growing giving to match what we're spending, I think that's obviously a very fiscally responsible thing to do. I want to make sure that we continue to be sensitive in our messaging to the realities of our economic scenarios that are existing today and what might be happening over the next year as things sort of fall out. And I think one thing we could do in that regard is continue to sort of highlight the advantage of having that money in the bank is not to hold the money in the bank, but it's to actually help us during times like this. And so I just want to make sure that we sort of continue to do, again, leaning on the good work that you're doing, that we continue to sort of be aware that as we message it, we're balancing the desire for people to deliver and to give what they can with a deep understanding of the evolution and the changes that are happening. And again, we're lucky enough that we have a lot of people that are on the benefiting side of what's been happening, but we're also in very close proximity to many people that could not afford to do more than they are. And in fact, there's a reason why the numbers might be dropping. So I just want to make sure that sort of we understand that base of resource is here for this reason, right? It's not like we're failing if we pull money out of savings and put it into checking. It's like we're making a conscious choice to continue to invest in our staff, to continue to invest in our programs, to support our broader community. And that means our Salt House community, even if Salt House as a community can't give at the level that it might have been able to 6 months ago or a year ago. So I just want to be conscious of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally, Kim. Thank you for that. And in fact, that's kind of why on the church building use income, contractually we were expecting something, but we also wanted to make sure for the other churches that were having some financial difficulty as well, that we, consider them. But your point is spot on.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All
That's
right.
really great. Go ahead, Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. And yes, agreed, Kim. Levi was wondering if he was next to present, but I let him know it's not his turn. So yes, so part of, next we want to hear from Dave Dowling, who is on council, and he's the liaison with our building and grounds team. And part of what we want to hear about is our kind of how we're using some of these community initiative funds, which is really exciting to hear about. So Dave, you ready?
Oh yeah.
All right, take us away.
Happy Sunday, everyone. So we were recently approached by the city of Kirkland with an opportunity to remove invasive species. and put natural plants in the northeast corner of the property, essentially between where our neighbors at Kirkland Place are and the sidewalk. And for those of you who have walked out where Kirkland Place is, you know we have that wooded area there, but you can't really walk through it. It's not very tranquil. So as part of this opportunity, Hamilton Anderson, son of Jim and Ann, stepped in to oversee the project to help with the removal of plants, along with, there was a work party yesterday, and Jason, I'm curious how far we got, and then planting of these plants. And then as part of the Community Initiatives Fund, we're building a gravel path as well. So in terms of kind of the scope of this project right now, it's about 1/6 of the overall area, but we have a plan to expand it to build a path so our neighbors at Kirkland Place have a place to walk, rest, just take in nature, and be at peace. In terms of where this project's at right now, we've removed the invasive plants. Planting is going to be happening over the next couple weeks, in addition to the gravel path. Where the community initiatives comes into play is the gravel path is not covered by the city of Kirkland as part of the grant. So Greg and the finance team kind of graciously, we had partnership there to fund that. So it's super exciting stuff. Time is of the essence with this one, so we have to have it complete and signed off by the city of Kirkland by Halloween. So all in all, just an exciting time. I'll kind of open it up for questions, as well as Jason. I don't know if you have an update of how long you stayed yesterday, but I'd be curious how far the volunteers got with that work.
You know, we got a lot done yesterday. I was really surprised when, like, we were wrapping up at around 3 o'clock and there was just so much stuff. I put a link in the chat to an Instagram post that I did from yesterday. It's really just a corner of that space. And like Sarah, Yuri, and Marcio were there. Renee and some of her kids showed up. Again, Hamilton was there. Jim was there. Hamilton's girlfriend, Siri, who was there. Robbie Denman came. It was just like really a fun time. I just was like really excited not to be sitting in front of a computer. And we just got a lot done. And if you're looking at the pictures, you know, where there's some mulch that's going to go down and then the plant is going to go in and Hamilton's going to leave a space for the path. And I think the ultimate goal is to really develop that whole area back there, take out all of the holly bushes, which are invasive, and a few other things, and really make it a beautiful space for people to enjoy healthy nature on this property here.
Yeah, just driving up, it really was an observation how clients of both of the shelters were spending time, I mean, literally like sitting in parking spots or like on the curb. And so we're really hopeful that this gives space for like just a nice place to be. So it really feels good to be a part of this. Yeah.
How do you get to the pictures?
Jeannie, it's posted on Instagram and Facebook for the Salt House account, so you can find it easily later, even if you can't see it right this moment.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hamilton is out there working again right now, and he says it's been really amazing to work and have our neighbors from Kirkland Place and Helen's Place come out and talk with him while he's working, and they're very excited to have a natural space to sit. So I think we have to feel good about what we're doing.
Yay!
Yay. I also just wanted to send a huge thank you to Renee, who helped with a lot of the orchestration.
Oh, you got muted. There you are. Okay. But yes, huge thanks to Renee. Thank you, Renee. I think Jason's muted.
I would just want to second what Dave said. It was a lot of details to corral to get the application into the city of Kirkland in time. And we are on sort of a short time frame, so it's exciting.
Awesome. Anything else? Any other questions? comments, observations, compliments? All right. Thank you, Dave. Woo! Now let's shift gears for our third update. This is from Dave Trice, who is on council as our vice president and liaison to our renters, to our folks who share our space and property. So take it away, Dave. Dave's also been serving as the lead of our team for this was months ago, but it was when we were looking at reopening. It was like, okay, what do we need to do in order for this to work? What are the regulations? And he's just going to update us on the many conversations this awesome team has had together over the last few months.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, you know, it's funny. This morning, I'm very distracted on a COVID outbreak at one of our plants. So I'm up, and you'll probably have seen me up and down. So that is sort of telling for the times that we're in. So as Sarah said, we started a committee, I think it's maybe early May. And we started meeting every week, and we had Jeannie Goodrich was on there, and Susan Shelton, Jason, and Renee. And we started to explore what would opening up look like in person, you know? So you probably saw on the website, we put out a 4-stage sort of opening plan based on the government guidelines and so forth. And we're still no further along in that area than we were when we started, but we wanted to put out a little bit of a framework to where, what would this look like? And, you know, in association with the, government guidelines and so forth. So we looked at that. We also started to research things like, what are they doing in dental offices? What are they doing in doctor's offices? What are they doing in the operating room? Mary Ann here gave us some good insight into that. Ann Anderson joined us with her. You know, we have so many medical people in our group, and we talked through those kinds of things. How could we do this in person? And I think where we landed was that, you know, might not be time yet, you know. So I think we, and then as we met really pretty much every week for a few months, this sort of evolved into a conversation on, you know, are we as a church and staff meeting the needs of the people? You know, what do you guys need? Well, gosh, how do we know what you need unless we ask you? So we did, and we threw out that survey, and thank you for everyone for taking it. And, you know, as a staff and as a council, we want to be aligned with the needs of our church. You know, where are we missing? And Jason, I'm going to share my screen for a minute, just to show probably one of these things. And will you give me that ability to do so? Thank you. 1 minute. Okay, I'll keep talking until I'm ready. Yeah, and thank you, Jason. I just want to, share this particular question, you know, because it really shows the, you know, looking forward to the fall season, how are you? You know, we wanted to find out how people were. And, you know, when I looked at a question like this, am I determined and focused, or am I overwhelmed or scared or anxious? Well, it depends on the hour or the moment, really. And I think we're all sort of in that boat. So, and this is really telling, you know. I think a lot of us are feeling fine, but a lot of us are pretty darn overwhelmed, you know, on sort of where we are. We're anxious. We don't really know what's next. And when we had the conversation with the council on this, and Jason, I think this probably should be posted somewhere at some point where people can take a look at it. And we have comments and things like that. I don't want to take the whole session here on going through everything in detail, because I think this particular thing is very telling on where we're feeling and how we as a staff and as a council can really reach out to folks. And what we came up with is, you know, it looks like we're doing what you guys want. For the most part, people don't want to be in person. You know, I'm going to go down a little bit further if I can do this on this thing without him. There it is. I'm going to go right by the comments because that'll be a long conversation. But I want to go to here. There we go. And, you know, when we look at our answers, you know, people are willing to do some outdoor stuff. The outposts seem to be very popular, but in terms of actually being inside, maybe not so much. I think we're all a little bit scared. We're all a little bit intimidated. We see the data right now that COVID is sort of raging. But the one thing that sort of stood out to us when we were talking as a council and with the staff is, there's a lot of folks out here that are struggling, and how can we as a church reach out to, the folks that are, I'm not ready, or you're just sort of scared and you don't want to go anywhere, but you're isolated. And so that's one of the things that we're exploring right now is how can we bring everybody in? I think based on your responses, our programs are pretty aligned to what people are wanting now, but there's still a population of us that are, I think we're missing, and we're looking at ways to really reach out to people on a personal level, to just sort of serve our congregation in a way that, some spiritual food, if you will, and we don't want to lose anyone on the margins. So I think that's sort of the next phase of our group, our committee, our church. And so that's, I guess that's a general update to Sarah on where we are and where we want to be as a community. And I'm excited about this. I love the content that the staff and the pastors have put together. It's top notch. It's even attracted my mother in Florida, which is great. So, there are people that are coming in, I think, that we're not recognizing from, all over the place, because what we're offering is something that people want and need. But then again, I still think there are a few people out there that we need to figure out how to reach to. And we may need some help with that. We might need some people who are seeing things that we're not seeing. But you might see some of us, whether you need it or not, we may be reaching out to some different folks and just to build community and to check on you. So without any questions on that, I can't see the chat right now. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute in case anybody did ask any questions. I don't see them. So and Jason, Jason's added a link to the guidelines, and I think the only other thing is allowing everybody to sort of see the survey at some point and the information that is on there. There were several comments, but I think the summary I put up there is pretty accurate. The question I'd ask everybody in general, are we missing anything? Did we miss anything with the questions? Did we, are we missing a big population? We don't want to do that. I mean, the goal as a church is to reach out and to serve. And yeah, is it difficult to touch everyone? Sure it is, but that doesn't mean we're not going to try.
Yeah.
So, questions? Okay, thanks, guys.
Several weeks ago when we launched this new series, just at the very end of September, Pastor Ryan and Pastor Sarah, they basically said, like, mental health experts are saying we need to find ways to connect and we need to find ways to serve. And so, because both of those things draw us into relationship with one another, and you can do both of those things from home via Zoom if that's necessary, but you can also do it in person. And so trying to find ways to create opportunities for connection and service that in a variety of ways for folks, within the Salt House community has been a large part of our effort this last month.
And thank you, Dave Trice, and for the whole team for holding this. And we're really landing in that space of, like, the risk isn't worth being together, right? Like, how we love our neighbor and how we exist as people of Jesus in this time is by doing the hard thing of staying home and being careful. And we continue to tailor the experience of Sunday morning, like holding it as when we get to the point we anticipate a hybrid, that will continue to have the live stream available as well as in-person options. So when that comes, we know some people will have to stay away for a longer time than others. So we're trying to find an equitable way to do it. Oh my gosh. It's the Iron Ninja. Okay. Yeah. So yes. So thank you, Dave. Thank you, team. And yes, we know this is hard, and yeah, that's why we're carving out those spaces to connect. So thank you for finding this way to connect today too.
And one more thing, we did have some limited, we need a little help on the welcome team. And I think the next step of this is going to be part of that, of not necessarily welcoming into worship at when people come in person, but reaching out to people that that need us. So if anybody's interested in the welcome team, that would be I think it's redefined just a little bit to where I think we've looked at it in the past. So thank you.
Dave, what does the welcome team look like now? What does it look like during COVID?
I can speak to that.
Thank
So
you.
we have, last week I shared a little update. We largely have valued radical welcome at Salt House, which means like we try to lower the bar as low as possible for what it means to be a part of Salt House. People show up. We really try to make very few barriers. And we have, by virtue of being in a pandemic, experienced a tremendous barrier. We had to make a shift from being a church that happens to have an online presence to really being an online church that happens to have a physical campus. And so how we extend welcome in this new digital space is really different. And so we really are looking for folks who have like that evangelical spirit, like the evangelist, you know, the people who are pointing to things and going, look at this, this is good. I want to share this with you. I want you to participate with me in this way. And so it's really sort of like extending welcome in those online spaces, sharing posts, inviting friends to worship, in engaging folks in conversation in specific ways around topics that matter. It's not easy to do. I personally am like, I have my own personal level of engagement on Facebook is like, I'm going to post something and then I'm just going to kind of let it be there and not interact with anybody who interacts with my stuff. You know, and there are other people who just like, they thrive on the conversation and they go into that space and they really want to point out the good things and share the good things with others in that way as much as they can. So we're looking for folks who sort of embody that spirit of engagement and welcome and affirmation in online spaces.
And I think too, we're figuring it out as we go. And I think there are pieces as well of follow-ups. So if you're not like an online-ish person, there's still like, oh, hey, would you be willing to call this person? Or there are ways to plug in and follow up with folks who are newer. I've recently been having more like Zoom coffee hour, Zoom coffees with people who are newer, and like, which is really encouraging because there are people who are starting to show up, and there are new people who haven't done anything at Salt House and have signed up for some of our groups. So we're seeing some really encouraging signs of people like looking for community and showing up in those spaces. So how do we help people feel connected? And we're figuring out how to do that, but it's in these online spaces as well as some other follow-ups. So it can be a diverse, I feel like there's diversity of skill sets for what it looks like to be part of this team, but yeah.
I wanted to say I really like the groups that have been started and like the Zoom after coffee hour, after church coffee hour, because that is such a good way to connect.
Mm.
Yeah, we plan to do more of these, so we're getting to it. Sometimes less informational, maybe just hangout-ish.
Yeah, and the groups during the week, it's just, that's great.
Thank you, Jeannie. I'm glad you're showing up for them.
The Saturday men's group's been great too.
Me too.
Awesome.
Have we had a coffee hour since the barbecue was built? Does everybody know about that? Not the barbecue, the fire pit.
I was like, we have a barbecue?
Let's build a barbecue. That's a good idea.
I don't think so.
The fire pit. We should maybe, yeah. Dave, are you here? Could you talk into that?
Yeah, so Ryan Marsh had a really great idea of guys working together and then creating a space where we can host our small groups outside. And so we came together and we're able to fund a fire pit. So it's kind of near the parsonage fence over kind of by the playground in the back. But yeah, on the men's group, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, they assembled the fire pit. We've been going now 3 weeks strong with our men's groups at 9 a.m. Over a fire. Thor, I'm not sure if he's still on this call, but he has a gift to build fires. So we've welcomed him, but it's just been just a really, really good way to come together and connect with each other. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Renee.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any questions or comments or things we're missing or things, this is good things that need to be shared? Anything you want to say, folks, before we close our time?
Could we bring our own food, like bring our own hot dogs and sticks and whatever we need to the barbecue and do it ourselves with the group?
Potentially, yeah.
You know, it's like bring your own BBQ.
Yeah.
That one liked it.
I know. I don't know who that was, but I like they are in.
That was really cute.
Sarah, one of the other things I was thinking is the Memorial Garden, an update there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so as many of you know, we're building a memorial garden inspired by the life and legacy of Iris Wolfe. And so this memorial is going to serve for infant, pregnancy, or folks that experience any sort of child loss. So to honor this beauty, we are going to be planting iris bulbs on November 1st, which is also All Saints Day. In terms of kind of getting this, the garden prepared in the border, so I know we hold Stephanie, Chris, and Henry in our prayers. Chris actually helped pull the grass out. This is on the, the south end of our church property, so right where the Blue Cross is. So they worked together to pull the grass, get the soil ready, and then lay a border. So in terms of how we can use your support, it could be a one-time monetary donation. You're welcome to bring bulbs and help plant on November 1st. Or you can just show up on November 1st and plant. My littlest one, Reese, is holding my hand.
We're planning to have a sign up, right, Dave, for the actual planting, so we can kind of do it spaced, like people can sign up for a 15-minute time slot and just come and plant for a little bit. So a lot of different people can have access to that experience, but also keeping it masked and safe as well.
Yeah, more details are going to come out next week that we'll share on this. But yeah, it's going to be a rainbow theme, and can't wait to see this thing begin to come to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just so excited about all of these things, the memorial garden, the forested area, the fireplace, that we've been able to do all of these things in the midst of the pandemic when we can't be inside together. So kudos to everyone who's been involved in those. Oh, hi, Reese. Levi, did you have?
What were you showing, Thor?
I think it's the fire pit.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I thought it was a pizza, but Tori, you're still muted. Dun, dun, dun. There you are.
My computer's been acting weird this morning. Yeah, basil pizza.
I'd eat that.
Oh, wasn't the fun.
Me too.
Hey, Sarah, I'm gonna turn control over to you. I have to get ready. I'm meeting here at Salt House. I'm meeting Anne Marie Russell and her daughter Maya, and we're gonna record some music for worship. So I'm excited about that. It'll be really good. But until then, I will see you all later. Sarah, I'm gonna make you the host.
Yes.
So you are now the host.
Thank you.
And I am signing off. I will catch you all later. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.